All right, hey everybody, so it's been about 18 months since I picked up the Bronco, and I figured it's time for an update. Some things that I like, some things that I don't like, and why ultimately I'm gonna be getting rid of this thing and what I'm gonna be trading it for. So let's get into it and go over the pros and cons of having this Bronco. Okay, so first let's go over the pros. I think that this thing is just about the perfect size. It is big enough to give you a good commanding view of the road. You feel sturdy and safe in it, but yet it's small enough and nimble enough that you can park it pretty much anywhere. I haven't ran into a garage or any place I've been yet that I've had any issue putting this thing, and then street parking is a breeze, obviously. And so size-wise, I think it's spot on within the two-door, obviously. The four-door, you're gonna gain a little bit of length, and I think those become a little unwieldy for what I prefer to drive. But I think size-wise, this is nice. And then, you know, I fit well in here. You can see I've got the, you know, the arm room here. I'm not banging into my passenger. And so I think this is, you know, I'm 6'1", 305. And so I'm a pretty hefty sized dude. And I still, you know, don't bang into my passenger. I still have plenty of space. My arm falls perfectly on the window. The seat adjustability is great. So you can get a comfortable position. So I think ultimately size-wise, I've been really pleased with this Bronco. The other thing, some of the mods that I did to make it a little bit more comfortable, I would recommend to anybody to get the seat jackers. The seat jackers, I think, are probably my #1 must-do in this for somebody like me. It puts you at just enough of a recline that it's a much more comfortable driving position. So I want to say they're like 70 bucks. They may have gone up a little bit in price, but you know, almost any vehicle I do from now on, I'll be looking to see if there is a seat jacker available. I have them in my Tundra as well. Like I said, it's just that little bit of extra comfort that makes a world of difference when you're driving these for any amount of time. The wheels. I love the wheels that I put on this thing. I think, you know, giving them that extra 12 millimeters of space out really sets the look off on this thing, especially with the fender flares. I would do those again in a heartbeat. I want to say they're $300-400-ish. For me, the look of those is more than worth that little bit of money. I think it just sets them off so nicely, and I've had no problems with it at all. They've stayed adhered very nicely. They've got that double-sided tape. You know, in the weather, this has been parked out in the weather for a little bit while I've been working on one of my other vehicles in the main garage here, and so it's seen a little bit of weather, it's seen heat, you know, washed the vehicle a bunch of times. They've held up really well, so I'm really impressed with those fender flares. I did a video on the install of those if you want to go back and check that out. But again, that's another mod that I think is well worth it. The dash cam. So I have this little module here, again in one of my videos, just kind of plugs in to where the mirror would plug into and steals power and runs my dash cam here. I had somebody asking me about that today as I'm looking at trading this thing in. And again, for the couple bucks that costs to save you the pain of having to route a wire through here and run it to your dash cam, always run a dash cam. I always recommend having a dash cam. There's a lot of really stupid people out there in the world and crazy to boot. And so that dash cam's that little bit of extra protection. I thought about going for one that has a front rear camera as well, but with that window opening up and it not being stable, I just went with the front facing cam. I think, you know, if you want to spring for the money and the pain of running a wire, then obviously front and rear cams are optimal, but this one did the job great. I would not do this again. This ended up being kind of a bust, especially with as big as my phone is. It never really held it well, and then it puts, you know, it knocks out your field of view. You put that camera right there, and from where I'm sitting, or excuse me, the phone right there, you know, it knocks out a huge field of view between the mirror, your phone, and if you have a GoPro on here, you've lost almost the entire right half of visibility out here. And so that's a mod that I ultimately don't think is worth it, especially since you have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in here. Like you never really need to access your phone for anything, and so I think you can put it, you know, down or in the center console or anywhere else that makes sense. It's not just sucking up a whole ton of your visibility. These grab handles, again, for $5, would do them again all day. Same with the steps. I think they were pretty cheap. There's not really a mod on here aside from this phone holder that I think I wouldn't do again. But again, prioritizing, if I had to prioritize, dash cam is always going to be right up there as #1. Seat jacker would be #2, and then tint. A good tint on this, because it's a fishbowl, right? You've got the privacy glass in the back, and that knocks out a bunch, but you've got this big flat windshield, big flat windows here, not doing you any favors to block out the heat. So a good ceramic tint that I put on this really knocked down the internal temperatures and made this drivable. The other things I absolutely did not like about this Bronco. The wind noise is unbearable. There's just no two ways about it. You know, this top, no matter how good the Ford engineers tried to do with this, you know, ultimately you've got two big gigantic seals here that it's trying to deal with, and then the one up front, just getting it sealed is a nightmare. And then the second you take it off, man, getting it resealed, you're always going to have this little bit of wind noise. And so it's, I mean, I'd seen videos about it before I picked this one up, and you can live with it, right? If you're a diehard Bronco fan, you love this vehicle, it's livable. Especially you just turn up the radio a little bit and it's fine. But that's bad. Speaking of radio, I upgraded all the speakers in this. You know, ultimately, do I think that was necessary? Probably not necessary. If you're an audiophile and you really enjoy your music, yeah, do it, right? If you're gonna get the dollar per usage out of that equation, where you're really gonna dig into your music and love it, but it's constantly fighting wind noise and tire noise and all these things, and so you upgrade this sound system, and it's competing with various other noises coming in this vehicle. So that's one of the ones where, man, if you don't have an absolute passion for stereo equipment, probably don't need to do it. The sub edition is nice. It gives it a nice little thump, but I had to steal the signal, and they pump in this fake engine noise, and it'll pick up that fake engine noise and amplify it, and that's another one where I was just like, man, it's kind of not worth the money that you're going to spend. You can put that to other things. So again, nitpicky. All in all, I've had a really good ownership experience with this, but it's time for it to go on. It's been 18 months, and I usually keep a vehicle 18 months to 2 years. And so it's time to get the next one. And the next one's gonna be a bit of a shock. When I called my insurance company to add it, the lady on the phone even said, "Really?" And the guy who was selling to me, I went back to the Ford dealership where I got this one to trade and do the vehicle deal. Even the guy who was selling it to me, he was like, "Are you sure you wanna drive that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it's something I've had before, and it's something I absolutely love, and I know I'm gonna love it again. So let's go check out what I'm getting next. All right, so let's see what I'm trading this thing for. Now, if you know me, you know I've had one of these before, and I absolutely love this car, but it's gonna be a shock to a lot of people. So, out with the old, in with the new. So this is a 2024 Mini Cooper S, and I've had one of these before. I had a 2016, and I absolutely loved it. Now, everybody I've told, like when I told the salesman I was looking at this, he was just dumbfounded. He's like, "There's no way you fit. Why would you go from a Bronco to this?" And first off, I fit well. Second off, this thing is just a little go-kart, man. I've had and driven all kinds of sports cars, right? I've had Porsches, I've had M cars, I've driven Ferraris, I've driven all, and those are all amazing cars, and I don't want to take anything away from those. But you know, the old adage, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. This is the embodiment of that. Now, some people would say Miata. Well, I don't know what wizardry BMW does on these where I fit in this and not a Miata, but that's just the reality. I've tried to wedge myself into a Miata and see, because I know those are gonna be a ton of fun. But for some reason, I just can't find a position in that doesn't make me feel like I'm being shoehorned into something. So, again, had a great time. This came up on offer. I wasn't looking to get rid of this, but this was such a good deal that I couldn't pass it up, especially since I know I'm gonna love this car. So I'll do a full walk around on this in another video. I'll let you know what I've got planned for it. But it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed having that Bronco, but it's time for the next set of adventures. So we'll see you guys in the next video. And like I said, got big plans for this, so should be a good time.